Is here.
Yeah. Okay. If you're ready to go, let's
Yep.
go.
Let's go.
In 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Today with me, I have he's still special, but he's been here before. I always say my special guest, but he's been here
Still
before.
special.
You're still special. And it is Dr. Christopher Shade, PhD, founder and CEO of Quicksilver Scientific. His Quicksilver delivery systems nanoparticle technology increases the bioavailability of supplements and protocols, leading to higher efficacy products. Dr. Shade strives to evolve the way the medical industry delivers care, and he is perpetually broadening the way the world understands health. And today, I wanted to dive a little deeper in hormones. And so obviously as a midlife woman, I'm very interested in hormones and what they can do. And who better to bring on the show but Dr. Christopher Shade. So welcome, Dr. Shade.
Well, thank you very much, Sandy. I'm very happy to be here. We touched on that last time, and you're like, "You do hormones?" We're going to do that for a second one. And it's funny. Midlife women are the clearest about everything. In your 30s, your 20s, you're just dragged around by your hormones, and you wish they'd stop. And then they go down, and you're like, "Can you come back?" And then you get them back. When you do this right, you get them back, and you covet them, and you protect them, and you keep them high, and everything's great.
Yes.
For the first time in the 50 years you've been alive.
It's kind of funny because I almost, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I almost feel like when the hormones are not going up and down and up and down, you can make yourself coast through, right? By actually
Totally.
customizing what you want and what you don't
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. They don't have to run like this. You just get on a good run and roll.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, this feels great. Let's just keep it like this.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm actually gonna be 53 in a couple weeks, right after Christmas. I know.
All
And
right. You're 1 year behind me. I'll be
okay.
54 in March.
Oh, okay. So, why are you so interested in hormones? Talk to me. Why such a big interest in them?
Getting personal now, Sandy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's just kind of natural me. It's just kind of natural. I got into it a couple of years ago. I met a guy named Mark Gordon who was a hormone guy, and I was a detox guy at the time. I still am.
Yeah.
But he was like, you should make a liposomal testosterone because nobody has an oral way to do this. And I took a bunch of time figuring it out. I looked all through the literature. Nobody had ever been able to do it. And I was making the liposomes at the time. I had to flip how I did things, and I got it to work. And then I started playing around with them more and more, and I started working with them. And I'm like, this is, I was in the anti-aging world. I'm like, these things are so powerful and so what we need. And there's so much bad memory around, like there's so much fear around them, but they're exactly what we need. And I love getting people up and tuned, and I love them just rolling well. And I like to see all women loving their life, and so I made all these.
I know. Well, I almost feel like a, a major foundation that you've got to get right in midlife is the hormones. And then once you get that right, then you can add all the other cool stuff like spermidine and all the other fun stuff, right?
You're just chasing after it with stuff that moves the needle, but your needle's all the way down here, and it's like, oh look, I'm moving the needle, but you need the damn thing up here, and the hormones bring it over there, and then everything you do really drives it. But
Yes.
without the hormones, you're just pissing in the wind.
There you go. I mean, okay, so first talk to us about why liposomal, because I know what that means. I'm going to give a very basic description. It's encapsulated in lipids or fat. Why? Why is that better?
Well, for certain compounds, it's the only way you're going to get absorption. Other ones, you'll get more absorption with them. You also bypass the liver, and so you don't go through those first pass metabolism that changes things around. When you get to hormones, it's really the only way to go. You look at like the DHEA, like this DHEA plus. Uh, DHEA, like it's got a bad, like women take it, but they take little doses, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, and they get up to 20, they start getting acne, they're growing facial hair, all
Yeah.
these androgenic symptoms. And those, as far as I can tell, are from the DHA running through the liver and making a bunch of metabolites that are highly androgenic. Not that it's making a lot of testosterone, it doesn't make as much as it does in a nanoparticle format. But you know, when you look at all the hormones and all the metabolites, there's a ton of them, and we only talk about like 4 of them. And so it seems to make a whole bunch of androgenic metabolites, and you have all these bad reactions, these side reactions. We do 100 milligrams a day of DHEA on women, and they feel fantastic. And nobody has reported acne, facial hair, hair loss, which is a DHT thing. You don't get any of those reactions because you're in these lipid nanoparticles that absorb right through your mouth, right into the capillaries. You swallow it, you absorb through the stomach, you absorb through the upper GI without going through this long GI to liver, back to blood. And so the DHEA is in an unmetabolized form, and it flips very quickly into testosterone and other positive androgens and doesn't give you these side effects. You go then into these, these topical formats. These are really cosmetics. We have progesterone, estriol, and estradiol. And you're using these as cosmetics, but you put them on your arm, you put them on your skin, whatever. We'll talk obviously about estriol on the face. And, in this format, you absorb very, very quickly.
Wow. Okay. You and I, when we talked, when was this? This would have been end of September, start of October. I've been using just an over-the-counter Estriol
Yep.
around my eyes.
Yep.
And I noticed that the tissue around my eyes is not as crepey.
Yep.
And
Plumps up.
yes, it's like thickening. So I was getting concerned because here I am spending, and this is like, I'm 52. Like I'm going to spend my money on good cosmetics that I think
Totally.
works, and it's not working. And I'm buying such expensive eye creams and serums, and the first thing that worked was a $40 cream that's not even meant to actually be used around the eyes.
Nope.
So why is nobody doing this?
Well, if you Google it, estriol and wrinkles, it'll be like the wrinkle killer. And then there'll be papers where they studied it.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's in a bit of a regulatory gray zone. But totally you can use our estriol on the face. It's freaking fantastic. This really penetrates a lot, so I mix it with a cream and I put it on. But I'm going to make one for the face that is all in a nano serum just for the face, and I'm going to have estriol in it. Estriol, the receptors in the skin respond to it. So what's estriol versus estradiol? So that's our estradiol, and that's what everybody's used to. And, that's where the fear comes in. We'll talk later about estradiol and cancer and the mythology around it. But in your liver, you turn it to estriol, and then it goes back out of your liver into circulation, gets excreted through the urine, but it also goes into the skin. So it goes through more of a lymphatic circulation, which brings it to the skin, oral area, and vaginal area. You pee it out. I mean, this is really interesting. All the estrogen receptors in the urinary tract and the vaginal tract are estriol receptors.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's why, like estriol here, this one, we have it, pH buffered at 4.4, and we call it a volval, but in case it slips in there, it's the right pH with lactic acid, that's actually the way you feed the vagina with estrogen is through dripping from your urine. So don't wipe too cleanly.
Oh,
Let a little bit flow.
interesting.
Be a bush girl, hang out, pee, let it drip down there. I mean, that was fascinating to me when I realized that. I'm like, oh, we're meant to drip a little in there. I mean, it's crazy, but it also goes to your skin.
Well, if you were living in the cave days, you'd probably
Totally.
the leaf, right? So
Yep.
it's not
You
going to
just
be
go pee. You don't get the Charmin and clean it all up. You just go pee. And urine is sterile. And it's like, why not leave a little in there?
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. But here's a big question that people want to know. And I'm going to be doing a hormone test soon. But if you use a topical Estriol just around, let's say, the eyes, it
How
shouldn't
much you get in?
it wouldn't raise serum levels.
A little bit, tiny bit. Depends how good it is.
Oh,
Who
really?
cares? Estriol. It's like estradiol. You got this narrow therapeutic window. Not enough. You got hot flashes. Too much. Your boobs hurt. Estriol, man. It's like, oh, I have too much. My vagina is too well toned. Oh no, I don't have any UTIs. Oh, this is terrible. And my wrinkles are going away. I have to get my serum levels of estriol down.
You're killing me. Oh no,
Oh no, my vag is toned.
I have a vagina like a 30-year-old again.
Oh no. And that's what you hear. It's like, this shit's good.
See, you're making me go red again.
I
Now
know,
that
I see it. You're all pinked up and you're like, where's the estriol?
I know, because I'm okay, so estriol, isn't that also the one that is highest when a woman is pregnant? I think it is.
Is it that or estrone? I don't know. I should know that.
It's one of those. It's
I
one of
deal
those.
with 50-year-olds. They're never pregnant.
Exactly. Like that
Yeah.
ain't happening anytime soon.
No.
Okay, so you can use it really. Okay, I'm gonna actually put a little disclaimer here. Speak
Yes.
to your own medical practitioner on what's right for you. Dr. Chris and I are just having a conversation here, so we are not providing medical advice here whatsoever. So I had to put that in there before we continue. So really, estriol is not one of those hormones that women really need to worry about. Now, estradiol is a little bit different, and I've actually heard that if you use it topically, you can cause like the darkening of the skin, like is it melasma or something like that? Like you have to be more careful, right?
There is a generalized fear about estradiol. We
Yeah.
had a woman named Lindsay Berkson here, and she was the first one to like blow my mind. And I'd forgotten why I was afraid of estradiol. And it was because of the Women's Health Initiative back in the late 70s, early 80s. I forget when that was. But they did all this data analysis on women on estradiol. And in their first analysis, they're like, oh my God, anyone who takes estradiol dies of a heart attack. Now we know it's cardioprotective. They all die of cancer. Now we know. And that was the one that stuck because the C word sticks in everybody's head. Cancer, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Somebody, a practitioner, sent me a link the other day or through my education team talking about changes in phospholipid metabolism caused by cancer. And she said, are your phospholipids causing cancer? It's like, no, it said when cancer happens, they change the way they make membranes.
Yeah.
Say phospholipids cause cancer, but everybody, they put the two together. If cancer and something are in the same sentence forever, one causes the other. Yeah. And it's always the wrong direction. So in the Women's Health Initiative, there was all this bad press around estrogen. And it turns out they fucked up the way they built their grouping. And they weren't controlling for things like smoking and things like that. And somebody went back in, looked at everything, reset it, and oh, how about that? All-cause mortality goes down anytime you have any estrogen.
Yeah.
Supplementation in age. All-cause mortality, everything goes down.
Yes.
Cancer rates go down from taking estrogen. cancer survivability goes way up having taken estrogen. So we
Yeah.
freak out about this stuff. And you don't need a lot. I mean, these are small doses, fractions of a milligram a day, even 0.125. Now that's usually not enough to get over the hot flashes. Even in something this good, you're gonna need a little bit more. But you find that little space, and you're at a space that really has very low risks. Another friend of mine, Mary Cohen, deals with all these women who've had cancer, breast cancer.
Okay.
Now, data now is saying don't even worry about estradiol, but she has very specific estradiol linked, estrogen receptor positive cancers, and she just gives them estriol and a little bit of estradiol if they go too low. She keeps them up,
Yeah.
up around 20 on estradiol. Most women want to be a little closer to 30, but she'll be like 15 to 20, keep you there, and slather them in estriol. So in general, unless you're like this very specific mutations for cancers, estradiol is not a worry.
And then there's the whole thing that you can also take some, sulforaphane, broccoli sprouts, eat like
Yeah.
just
Dim,
to make
dim,
sure
the
that
huge
dim,
one.
just to make sure that you're
Dim's a big one.
metabolizing
Yeah,
it.
so then you're going, all the 2-hydroxy, 4-hydroxy,
Yeah.
6-hydroxy, you're going down the right path.
Yes.
And dim is great at that. Sulforaphane's great at that. And that just makes sure you're metabolizing everything. In fact, in the DHEA plus, we put the dim right in there
Oh,
because
interesting.
DHEA is going to become testosterone and then going to become estrogen. We also have some chrysin in there because we're trying to hold things into test and DHEA here, and then you do your estrogen independently.
Okay, so interesting that you say this because I've been doing the Dutch test since I was like 45, a long time. I have an aunt, actually two aunts, who died of uterine cancer. Okay, so
Right.
I obviously have this predisposition. My body loves to go down that, what is it called? The equine pathway,
Yeah.
kitty pathway.
Quinone, the
Quinone,
quinone.
that's it,
Yep.
quinone.
Yep.
So it always wants to go that way. So I'm
Yeah.
like, huh. At one point, I took a ton of DIM, and guess what? I had no estrogen left, and it was not a very pleasant situation. So then I started to use
And
sulfur.
that's funny because with men, it doesn't lower their estrogen levels too much. They really
Yeah.
need a heavier hitter than that. Yeah, dim. But with women, you sort of drain off estrogen. So you're saying the sulforaphane didn't, but did you look at quinones and
Yeah.
were the pathways right with the sulforaphane?
Yes. So it really, I mean, we're going to see. I'm still technically not in menopause. I just had a period like a week and a half ago. I thought I was
Congratulations.
done. But it's
52, still
like,
bleeding. That's pretty good.
yeah, but I mean, I thought now I got to start the clock all over again. But anyway,
Straight up clock.
my entire point that I wanted to make is that once I am in menopause and I know my hormones are kind of flat, I still plan to take whatever it is I need to take. Yeah, take all of it, but make sure that I'm like
Metabolizers are
directing traffic in the right area,
oh,
right?
oh,
I'm
yeah.
not afraid of it, even though my aunt
No, it's really
cancer.
easy, Am I having hot flashes? Yes, take more, you know.
Yeah, I don't have
And
hot
then
flashes.
you measure once in a while. I mean, you just keep it from being really high. Keep the metabolizers in there. Dim was you might have just taken too much, but
Probably.
yeah. Just make sure those things are in there on a regular basis.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking almost like use the dim, use all that, but then top up with good quality hormones that are bioidentical, and then you can kind of make sure that you're leveling where you want to be at,
Yeah.
right? That's the way I look at it. But I'm a practitioner, right? And a lot of people are afraid of that. So that's why these
Well,
conversations are here, so that you don't have to be afraid, and you can talk to your doctor or whoever you speak with that can get you the hormones, and see what's right for you, right?
Totally. And there's some things, you want to keep in a narrower window and some things in a wider window. DHEA, testosterone, unless you're like miles over the board. Like we keep people way on the high end of the reference range to even over it a little bit. And then estrogen, you're keeping sort of low middle. Estriol doesn't matter. Progesterone, you could just slather it on all day. And that's about all you got to know. I mean, it's pretty easy. And
Progesterone.
I mean, getting tests are pretty easy too. I mean, on our website, we have a link to, and we don't even do it. It's LabCorp, and boom, you just go $75. You get your major hormones.
Oh,
Test,
that's
test,
reasonable.
progesterone, DHEA, $75.
So really, I think it's important if you are taking hormones to test regularly, right?
Yeah,
But
make sure
once
you're
you're
not
kind of
way out of whack.
fine, however, I think once you kind of bottom out at a
Yeah.
certain age, and then it's not going to change a ton afterwards. Like for women specifically, once your periods are done and they're
Once,
done.
yeah, post menopause, you set your doses and it'll stay like that for years.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say with pellets, they're a little weirder. It depends where you get where they go, but uh orals, topicals, injectables, you find your dosage and it just stays there.
Okay. Can we go back to DHEA? Like
Yeah.
DHEA is considered like the mother hormone, right?
Well, pregnenolone technically, but DHEA is the mother of all the sex hormones.
Right. So, from that, we make some of the other hormones, right?
Yeah.
More of the androgen hormones. So,
Androgens and eventually through to estrogens.
right. Now, is DHEA typically a hormone that a woman would take or a guy would take or
Everyone.
both?
Both. Yeah. It's your primary adrenal secreted hormone. And then in the gonads, you flip it into downstream into androgens and estrogens.
Okay.
But it's at higher levels than anything else in the blood, and it drives metabolism, it drives cognition, it drives this sort of anti-aging effect. I mean, it's one of the most important ones, if not the.
And the one that
And
you,
it's I mean, it's for both of us.
okay, the one that you
It
guys,
actually affects estrogen and androgen receptors, and it becomes all other sex hormones. It's upstream from all of them.
do you take it, Chris? Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Of course you do.
And
Okay.
that's something that I'm naturally high in anyways. Like sort of like intelligent, wiry people have high levels of that.
Well, you're so damn smart, right?
Yeah. Whereas like football players, high in testosterone and DHT.
Okay. So, why do guys, as soon as they reach their 40s, they start to have higher estrogen levels? And I know
Yeah.
Chrysin is really good for that, right? For guys.
Yeah, if you can get it in a nanoparticle or topical format. Through the GI, it gets metabolized before it gets in. It doesn't work all that well. In a petri dish, it does. In some of these nanoforms, it does. But the question is, why does that happen? So there's a estrogenizing of men over time. They go
Yeah.
into menopause, and their androgens are going down, and their estrogens are going up. Aromatase gets upregulated, and you make a lot of estrogen. You get the rounding out, you get the man boobs. So controlling that's a big thing, and guys are a little, it's a little bit more, you got to go to the doctor. You can't get the over the counters because guys can't turn DHEA into testosterone. Women do. In fact, when you look at the pharmacokinetic studies of our nano DHEA, the estrogen and the testosterone are on exactly the same arc. They come up together. But with men, you take the DHEA, that goes up and estrogen comes up a little, test stays flat. So men are a little bit harder to deal with. You got to get some injectable. We have a nano sublingual now, and it's just coming out to the first couple of pharmacies. There's a place called Amex Pharmacy, just like your Amex card, in Florida that has it, and College Pharmacy in Colorado has it. So guys need that. I mean, they need to take DHEA, but to get testosterone, they need a prescription.
Okay, but
And they might need some aromatase inhibitor, an Estradiol. Uh, that the pharmacies used to make Chrysin creams, but they're not allowed to anymore.
okay, aromatase inhibitor. Can you explain that, please?
So aromatase takes test to est. And when it gets upregulated, it's just whoosh, takes your testosterone into estrogen, and then you have estrogen symptoms. And the aromatase inhibitor blocks that enzyme. Anastrozole is the most common one. It's a little pill. And for guys, they'll take it like once, maybe twice a week. And that just holds back enough to keep the estrogen low. You know, you want to be in that sort of 20 to 40 range. And anywhere below 20, you lose the cardioprotective effects of estrogen. But if you get over like 50, you get like 50 and above, then you start getting all this heaviness. So you're trying to dial that in there.
Yeah, because you see, and I'm not, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but when you see, when you see some men and they have women hips,
Oh,
and
oh,
right,
that
like,
gets rough.
is that
That
is
gets
that because of
rough.
that?
That's estrogen. Yeah, and
Yeah,
some are
it
just
is,
like
right?
wicked. So what makes that? All right. So yeah, to like your regular virile male, it's alcohol and coffee, but to the younger guys, it's plastics.
Ooh,
And you're like microwaving food and plastic.
yes.
You have like some like aroma thing in your car, like blowing through your vents. Those are all phyto, environmental estrogens, xenoestrogens, or they're aromatase subregulators. You're spraying Axe on yourself. That all just makes hormone after hormone. Some of these younger guys, you're like, oh my God,
Yeah,
what were
it's
you eating?
scary. When you
Really?
see, but you're gonna laugh at this. My daughter had her friends here for lunch once, and this this was some grade nines. This was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And one of the kids goes, "Can I use your microwave, Mrs. Cruz?" And I'm like, "Sure." I go, "You're not gonna really heat up your food in that plastic container, are you?" He ran downstairs and told my daughter and all their friends that he was gonna turn into a woman because I told him
Tell them that. Scare the hell out of them.
but I'm trying to teach these kids because people don't realize you don't want to do that, right?
Yep. Totally.
Okay, so
Scare them.
yeah. So if you're a man and you're listening to this, the route to raise testosterone is not that simple as just taking testosterone, right?
No, no, it is that simple.
It
It's not
is.
as simple as taking DHEA, which does it for a woman. The woman's easier. For the first time in the history of the world, a woman is easier than a man.
Yay.
Women are never easier. They're always in pain.
I know. I know.
It's just the way it is. But men, no, you got to take testosterone. I mean, if you're younger and it's not working, we can clear the plastics out of you, give you some herbs and stuff, and it'll come up. But you're 50 and it's been just gradually declining. You got to take test. I
What
haven't figured a way around it yet.
What about things like saw palmetto and, no, no,
No, they don't make tests. They
but they help
they
that
slow
needle.
down the movement of testosterone to DHT. Oh, great. Why do you want to do that? Now, you want to do that if you have really bad BHP, benign hypertrophic prostatitis. Otherwise, you're stopping the movement to DHT. DHT is an androgen that's 5 times more potent than testosterone. So when you're looking at guys' hormones, you take their test, you take the DHT, multiply it by 5, and get a total testosterone equivalence. And saw palmetto just keeps you from making DHT, keeps more in testosterone, which is weaker than DHT. So
Oh,
unless you have something you're trying to block, I mean, if you're trying not to be bald like me, I'm a high DHT guy, right? And if you're trying not to be bald like me, you can put saw palmetto on your scalp or something, but you're going to have less androgenicity when you're taking it orally.
okay. So then if you're a guy and you're worried about estrogen, you can take chrysin. You
Yeah,
can take.
dim, Christ, they're going to help a little. If you're not overcoming it, then get all the plastics out and watch what you're doing and detox. And if you're not overcoming it, then take an Estradiol.
A what?
Well, an Estradiol. It's a
Okay.
pharmaceutical.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes, yes. I've heard of it. I've heard of that. But
Women
really,
take it for your breast cancer when they're afraid of estrogen.
but you're really a big proponent of testosterone for guys.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So how long, like you're okay, you're a
How long
year
have I
old.
been taking it?
Yeah.
5 years, probably.
Sorry?
I've probably been on it for 5 years.
Okay.
Various forms. I've tried a couple different things. I've tried Clomid, which gets you to produce more, but I didn't really like it as much.
Okay. And then now, okay, why does a guy's testosterone go down anyway? Is it because of the estrogen, or is it because just with age that happens?
Why does your why do your hormones go down?
Well, for me, I'm way more complicated than you are. And,
Oh, that's the thing is we act like we're not. Again, it's like the women are difficult, the men are easy.
Yeah.
Menopause and menopause happen at the same fucking time.
Okay.
Guys just go down. Test goes down, and more is making estrogen. You got good levels of estrogen and no test, and it's all a ratio between the two. It's not like estrogen of 50 is bad when you have a test of 1,000, or 1,200, but when your testosterone's like 200, 300, and you have 50 estrogen, no bueno.
And
It's time. It's the horrible march of time.
okay, but it won't make a guy more aggressive, would it? Or could it?
What?
Testosterone, supplementing with it. These are all
A
myths.
guy with a hard cock and knowledge of what he wants to do in his life and direction and firmness doesn't make you aggressive. Look at the fear. You're all about your own hormones. And when
Yep.
I started talking about a guy taking hormones, you've shrunk into a little ball and we're like, oh my God, are they going to be mean? What? Why do you want to supplement all your hormones and not do that for guys?
No, listen,
That's crazyville.
I'm with you. I'm with
Or
you.
now, but you were for a second. You're like,
No,
okay.
I
No, and all the guys after all the concussions that go crazy and kill people, they have no testosterone at all. That's when they want to kill themselves. Depression, midlife crisis, the depression, I don't know what I'm doing with myself anymore. That's low testosterone. You want a guy who's got high test and knows what he wants to do and just keeps doing what he used to do. You
wow.
want a solid husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Absolutely.
my God. Guy who lost all his test and has got estrogen hates his own life. And how's that going to feel at home? You come back and he's like on the couch watching The Simpsons or something, doesn't know what to fucking do with himself. He's going to be bitchy. He's going to externalize that in this like bitchy, underhanded way. You don't want that in a man.
No, I
You want
don't.
men above the board.
Yeah. No, I'm
That's
with
what
you.
happens to him. It's bad.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. And I love that you're talking about optimizing
Yeah,
men's hormones as well
yeah,
as women's. Because, it's funny because it seems like we kind of everything is all about women's hormones,
yeah.
really.
No, I saw that midway through. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, no, it's all about because, and I'm so used to being around it in like the anti-aging world. All the guys are like tweaked up. You go to A4M, all these 60-year-olds, they got fucking, they're buff, and they're like, yep, and they're all like on it. And you're like, hey, how you doing? And you're like talking about shit, and everybody's like, what's next? What's next? And you got to keep all these hormones high. You got to keep growth hormone high. You're either going to supplement growth hormone, which is hard to get prescriptions for, or you're going to do peptides, which stimulate growth hormone release. Because when you have growth hormone, all your weight's up here, and you're like, yeah. And then the growth hormone goes away, and test goes away, it all drops in your belly.
Yeah.
It's down here, and
Yeah.
you're like, so
Yeah.
these are all the things you got to keep up and going. And peptides are this whole world of regulation of age, and they're amazingly powerful. And they're in this like Wild West down in the US. If you go to the right doctor, they're going to get you all these little injectable peptides. Uh, Ozempic or something. It's that weight loss thing.
Yep, yep,
Elon was on it. That's peptide, right? There's a million
yes.
peptides, all just as powerful as that. Now, FDA is trying to take them away. We might make them in sublingual liposomes. We'll see where that all goes. But that's why you take organs, like little pills of pituitary and pineal and thymus.
See that right there?
You should be
I got
taking
some.
those. That was all figured out in Russia at the St. Petersburg Institute of Gerontology by a guy named
Havenson.
Kavinson. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are all little peptides that are in the organs. And they
Yes.
can extract them out, or you can just take organs. Take organs.
Yes.
And what was anti-aging back in China? It was shit tons of adaptogens, shit tons of organs, and like growth hormone promoters, which is the deer antler velvet. That's got IGF-1 in it.
Wow.
That's how we did everything. Because the adaptogens, like ginseng, increase the number of hormone receptors you have. So say you're at testosterone of 400. We think that's a little low. If you have a lot of receptors, it feels high. If you have no receptors, it feels low. You're at 1,000, you have low receptors, it feels low. So we always talk about these levels, but it's a dance between the receptors and whether there's something stuck on them, like plastics and xenoestrogens and xenohormones. So the number of free receptors and the level of hormones. The adaptogens push up the free receptors. Detox pulls off the things that are screwing up your receptors. So that's bringing you up there. And then you bring up the hormone levels. All these different ways to look at this cat and skin it.
Wow. You're so smart, Chris.
They
Gotta
put
be
me
all
in
that
this job to do this. I try.
testosterone. Okay. So
We just
now,
went way off the rails there.
no, but
But
that's
we hit
okay.
like everything you have to know about hormones.
But you see, you see me, I'm like fixated because
Oh,
it's so interesting to me because, I have this issue with no thyroid, right?
oh,
And
that's
so
right.
there's times when, there's that interplay of what's going on with my other hormones, what's going on with my stress hormone, and what's my reverse T3, what are the bouncers at the door over the cells doing, right? And not
Yeah,
allowing the medications to get into the cell
yeah,
and do their job. So for me, it's like this delicate play on
totally.
how I feel.
What
And
do
so
you take? Do you take pig thyroid,
I
T3, T4,
do.
T3? Yeah,
I had to advocate hard for T3.
yeah.
They made me take T4.
And they think it'll all go from there.
And
There's
I
no
went
three
to
in there.
hell. My health went
Yeah,
to hell when I was on T4 only.
yep.
I started researching this a long time ago. I said, you need to give me T3. And my endocrinologist looked at me like I was insane. And he said, okay, well, we'll try. I know, but this is like going back
So you
12
took
years.
pure like pharma T4 and pharma T3, or did you end up eventually on like an armor type of thing?
So now I'm on T4 synthetic,
Yeah,
T3 synthetic,
synthetic. Yeah,
and IRFA, which is the desiccated
yeah,
pig thyroid
yep.
in Canada. So I
Now that we know what Kavinson knew, there's probably bioregulators in the desiccated thyroid. So I think it's a
yeah,
good thing.
and I'm seeing, like, when I was at the last biohacking congress, I did that hair analysis with Dr. Alan Bauman Medical. He does the hair
Yeah, what does he do?
he,
What is that?
he has a massive facility in Boca Raton, and
Yeah.
he has all these imaging things, and my hair looks really great all along here, but then here not so good. And I'm like, it's starting to grow since I started taking the IRFA. So
Mm.
it's amazing what
Oh, that guy. Yeah, the hair
who
guy.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I thought, yeah, and they got the scopes on the hair. I thought you were saying he was measuring T4 and T3 in your hair.
No, but he does do that. So
He
what I
does.
like about him is that you'll go to him, and if you want what is it, FUE hair replacement, you can get that. but then he'll also look at the root cause of why your hair is lost in the first place too. Because
Yeah, it's funny. He was right next to us, and I didn't talk to them, but everybody would come out. Oh, they're doing this. I was like, this is pretty high end shit over here.
he's amazing, and the
Yeah.
imaging and everything they do.
Yep.
So it's not just about let's just put, hair
Plugs of
follicles,
hair in.
plugs in,
Yeah.
although it can be as well. Okay, we are totally getting off the rails here. I just want to make sure we finish the discussion because you're a detox king. So, how does detoxification affect all of the hormones? Because it's a
So,
big part of everything, right?
yeah. Yeah. There's two ways. The toxins can get in and bind to the receptors, and then you got a receptor, it's got a plastic in it, and it's got this constant estrogen signal when it shouldn't, or it's just blocking any signal from getting in there. And so toxins on the receptors are big, and so we have dim in our detox system, but you want to strip away all this stuff. There's so much, and really, if your hormones are dysregulated, you should do even one of our super potent detoxes. You still got to do that for like 2-3 months, really get everything off of there. And the toxins can also get in the way of the enzymes that are transforming one to another. If I had the picture, I would hold it up, this steroidogenesis chart. You can look that up on Wikipedia, steroidogenesis, and you'll see cholesterol become pregnenolone. And then it goes off this way into like 20
I've
different
seen
adrenal
that.
hormones. It goes down this way into 20 different sex hormones.
Yes.
And it's important to see that. And all those transformations are happening in membranes of the mitochondria or the endoplasmic reticulum, about 70% on endoplasmic reticulum, 30% on mitochondria. And membranes get all tweaked out from the toxins. And so you'll get like a whole bunch stuck in one pool, not moving into other pools. So detox is huge for normalizing that. And part of our detox is always bringing a lot of phospholipids. That's what makes our liposomes, our nanoemulsions. And then we just give it to you, raw as like empty liposomes, just to be able to feed all those membranes and repair all those membranes so you can make all those transformations happen. So detox is huge in making sure you become all the different hormones, distribute them equally, and that the receptor sites are not stuck with some sort of toxin in them.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I want to go back to your point on cholesterol. What are your thoughts on statins?
Who the fuck would do that?
I know. I'm with you. I'm with you. Because that's what all our hormones are made out of, cholesterol, right?
Cholesterol is the precursor to every hormone. It
Yes.
starts there and it goes to pregnenolone from there and it becomes everything else. And you stop that, you screw all the hormones. So many guys go in like,
yes. And they become fat.
yeah. And it blows the statins blow out your CoQ10, so your mitochondria aren't working. And then you're a fat, miserable, low energy mess. But you haven't had a heart attack. And really, that's a toss up because the CoQ10 thing makes you have a heart attack. And so statins really just don't work. If your cholesterol's through the roof, it's because you have some other problem. Cholesterol in my world is like, it's like spackle over, there's all kinds of irritation in the cardiovascular system. You got to spackle it up with the cholesterol. And really everybody who's on our stuff, the cholesterol, they don't end up with plaques and everything. And so if you do have high cholesterol, detox, take a lot of phosphatidylcholine, see where it goes from there, and then pick up the pieces. And if you really need to bring it down a little bit, you can maybe put some statins in, but you're gonna block all kinds of reactions in your body from that.
Right. I know a lot of people whose physicians will put them on like tiny, tiny little doses of statins.
That might be okay.
I mean, that might be okay.
Tiny doses with a bunch of CoQ10 and
Right.
a bunch of phospholipids, and you're probably okay then.
Right. And really,
that's why the net in these big studies is like nothing. You didn't change all-cause mortality at all, because whoever you saved from a heart attack, you killed just as many by blowing out their hormone systems and their CoQ10.
Right. And then
so I would advocate for a microdose of statin as long as you're taking other stuff.
Right. And then the other thing too is what is that cholesterol? What kills me is they'll just do HDL, LDL, triglycerides. And it's like,
You got to
okay,
break out the particle sizes and stuff. And,
yes,
if
yes,
you have VLDLs and stuff and your PLAs are off, well, you got to do something about that. But break it all open and see what's in there and figure out root cause and then treat appropriately. It's like treating thyroid with a TSH number. You're never going to get it right.
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
And, yeah. And so just to say, yeah, I don't, just automatically say all are bad, but why would you just go in when you don't know what's going on in there? But if you do go in and you see really small particles and stuff, well, you're going to have to block until you figure out how to change it.
Right. Because in studies that I've looked at, the only cholesterol that was connected to heart disease was the small, very dense particles, because they're the ones
Yep.
that embed and create that plaque, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, there's something going on to even have the embedding. Yeah, Frank Schallenberger gave this great talk on antibiotics and heart disease. So there's this whole studying of the microbiome inside our vasculature, and there's little infections going on there that are creating a lot of this. And I had all this data on reversing heart disease with antibiotics, and we're afraid of antibiotics, but often you need them, and you need them for reasons you didn't even know. And there was a study by Steve Fry where he was looking at cardiovascular plaques, and they found all this stuff alive in them. There's a microbiome in there. It was a biofilm that was in there.
So interesting.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
that
then
is interesting.
you get into looking at spirochetes and cardiovascular disease. Treponema is like the Lyme disease of the gums, and it's highly correlated with cardiovascular disease. Gets into the vasculature, and then it drills in. The spirochetes drill into the lining and create inflammation and holes, and then you put plaque in there to plug them up. Once we get to root cause, really root cause, we'll be like, oh my God, what were we doing?
Yeah. Okay, I guess we are coming close to an hour. I want to make sure that I touch on this. I'm going to name the hormone,
Yeah.
and you're going to tell me what it's good for. Okay?
Yep.
It will play the hormone game.
All right.
Okay. So, and then you know what? If we have time, you could do men, women. Okay. So I'll say, because you're so good at this. So DHEA for guys. Why is this important? Oh, it's not as important, we learned. Or,
DHEA, it's great for guys.
oh, but it doesn't convert to testosterone.
That's what we learned.
Right.
Yeah. But on its own, or just pushing it can't increase testosterone. It's in this tight feedback loop.
Right.
What's it good for? Cognition, metabolism, keep you lean, fit, buff, cardiovascular health. It is a adrenal thing itself. Sexual health. Pretty much everything that test does, but a little bit more rounded towards intelligence.
Okay. Okay. What about women?
All the same things. More on sexual, like really drives the libido very nicely. It drives bone health. It drives long-term cognitive health, long-term cardiometabolic health, mitochondrial health. Super good. And becomes testosterone. You can raise your test by raising your DHEA in women.
But because of the delivery system that
Yep.
you guys have,
Yep.
women don't need to worry about the hair and the acne. And
No, only in the nanoparticle. If you're taking capsules, so we have the DHEA plus and the pure DHEA. So
Okay.
DHEA plus is pregnenolone, chrysin, DIM, fermented Korean ginseng, maca, and dong quai. That's
Okay.
really like the Mac Daddy. And you know what? So many people were afraid of us giving them 100 milligrams. I'm like, take a quarter teaspoon. It'll be 25. They're like, but why are you giving 100? Take a quarter teaspoon, it's 25. Why you're giving 100? I mean, they get so lost in their own headspace. So we made this. It's only 5 milligrams per pump. Oh, thanks. So that's why we have two, but really you should take that one. In the nanoparticle format, it goes in unmetabolized. It becomes test right away. It doesn't become all these weird androgenic metabolites that give you the acne.
Okay, and why is
Next
this?
hormone.
Okay, wait. But testosterone for women, we like it because
Libido, intelligence, drive, clarity, not being like, oh, what do I do? Not falling apart. You know, the whole like menopause fall apart is no test, no DHEA giving you androgenic clarity, and high estrogen still relative to progesterone, giving you constant anxiety. And that's the S to progesterone thing. Bring up progesterone, then you got calmness
yeah,
versus your irritation. Because estrogen does, you know, when you have no estrogen, you get flat. And estrogen makes you cheery. It gives you thickness of the skin, gives you bone density, gives you vaginal wetness, and it's gives you more libido than testosterone does until you go to the high end of the reference ranges, and then testosterone drives libido more than estrogen.
okay, and then guys, okay, guys certainly don't need to take any of these estrogens, not the estriol, not although you did say that it's still
Unless
good
you're low estrogen feels as bad as high estrogen.
for a guy.
Yeah. Total libido, erectile function down, depression.
Oh, interesting. Okay, but you also mentioned
Very much, you know, it's like a U curve. Your low sucks. Your high sucks. Middle, great.
wow. Okay. Now, estradiol. Would guys ever go there down that route?
They never have to unless they took too much aromatase inhibitor. They're all in the toilet. They can take a little bit and bring it back up. I mean, there could be cases like something's blocking their, you know, you just got to measure, you know, if you're shouldn't be under 20 and anything under 15 or 12, you really got to bring it up. So if that's there, you would take it. Otherwise, you wouldn't. Estriol, you can take it for the skin. It's the wrinkle killer. And it's probably good for urinary tract and erectile function.
Okay, because you were
But I
saying,
don't know. But I have been putting it on my skin, and I kind of noticed. I was like, geez.
yeah,
But more on that later, you know. But
okay,
definitely for the skin estriol for guys.
okay, and for girls, women,
Oh, totally.
guys and girls. I like it.
Totally. But then, you know, you get so girls a little estriol here, bunch vaginal.
And that could help with the urinary leak.
Urinary tract infections, any prolapse of the whole pelvic floor dropping, vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy, like the muscles in there. It's like you get in there, it's like, hello, hello, hello. You know, that's all estriol. Tone that all up really good. You can take estradiol, it'll turn to estriol and go through there. But if you want to keep, for whatever reason, you want to keep estradiol low, you just go direct in there, on there, around there with estriol. And in the end, that's why they do bias. You get a little of both.
All right.
Bias means a blend of estradiol and estriol.
Okay.
But everything pelvic is estriol.
Okay.
Then
Wow.
estradiol, long-term cognitive function, bone, cardiovascular.
Yes. Yeah. And did you say brain? Brain.
Yep, cognitive,
Cognitive.
long-term brain, estradiol.
Because with women specifically, I guess guys too. The guys, it's more the DHEA and testosterone. With women,
Yeah, because guys, old guys have plenty of estrogen. It just doesn't go away.
yeah,
The test goes down,
yeah,
and it's turning to estrogen a lot. And so I haven't seen old guys with estrogen deficiency much,
right, right.
but it could exist where it's all down. But usually you just give them test and they'll make plenty of estrogen from it. But women, you give them all this DHEA, they get high DHEA, high test, and dick for estrogen. And
Wow.
so that's the cruel fate of time, is that women become unhappy men and men become unhappy women.
Oh,
Bummer. But we
yeah.
have to do that. As my friend Frank Schallenberger says, who also talked about the cardiovascular disease being healed by antibiotics, he said, everybody tells me it's not natural to take hormones. And this guy's like 76 and up there like raging. He goes, I'll tell you what's natural, to wither up and become a miserable piece of shit after like 50 or 60. I don't want to do that.
No,
I
no,
don't want to do that.
exactly.
Mm.
But okay. Thank you so much. I love chatting with you. We have such a good chemistry when we talk.
We do.
Yeah, we do. And I want you to tell everybody they can find your products, how they can get to them.
How they can find me. I'm on 1960 Cherry Street in Louisville, Colorado. That's where the company is. Oh, you're probably not going to drive over here. Okay.
No.
So then you got to go to quicksilverscientific.com. We have doctor only stuff and direct to consumer stuff. I'm really big about making things accessible to people who are into their health. And so we sell our stuff right through our website. Some of it's on Amazon, but right through our website is where to go. And everything but the estradiol. And in like 2 months, I'll have a bias, which is a lower dose estradiol with estriol. That'll be available. But right now, you can get the DHEA plus, you can get the progesterone, and you can get the estriol, and you can get the pure DHEA. And the other reason we made pure DHEA is like, say you're taking pellets already and progesterone pills and creams, your doctor's got you all pimped out, but he tells you to take a DHEA capsule, just go and get our DHEA. And one pump is 5 milligrams, take as much as they tell you to do. But yeah, quicksilverscientific.com. On Instagram, there's Dr. Christopher Shade. There's Quicksilver Scientific. We're on Facebook too. And if you message me and I don't message you back, don't take it personal. I don't look at this stuff.